Howdy, y'all. My name's Nick. I'm from the Texas Freedom Network, and I run the Texas Rising program. Like a lot of the young folks here, and probably like yourselves, I became an organizer because a small local organization invested in me and my leadership potential when I was a young college student. Now, we all know that when young folks rise to the occasion, as you've just seen all of these examples, we can really create meaningful change, right? However, in Texas, that's often just a little bit easier said than done. We are 51st in civic engagement if you include DC. That means that we're starting from ground zero. You can't get any lower. Texas is the bottom. So when our organization was started 20 years ago by Cecile Richards, she brought her labor organizing experience to the table and built an organization that really values grassroots organizing as a means of building real power in communities and winning on our issues. Now, our groups aren't your typical social group on campus. We've got 11 student chapters all across the state that are doing this work in the massive state that is Texas. We've got 5 full-time field staff and 20 paid student organizers that are executing a pretty comprehensive plan. We do civic engagement work during election cycles. To give you a sense of what that looked like, last election cycle we made 63,000 voter contacts. And during legislative sessions, we're working hard to hold our elected officials accountable through advocacy days, in-district briefings, constituency outreach programs, and the occasional rally to kill a bill. We also do a lot of work at the State Board of Education. Is anyone aware of the implications of the textbooks that Texas adopts and what that means for the rest of the country? It's usually what ends up in your school too. So we're working really hard to make sure that our textbooks teach the role that people of color played in the development of our country. And that sex education includes a conversation about the diverse families that we've got in Texas. So I want to illustrate this with a few examples of what our work actually looks like. This is Allison. She's our student leader at the University of Texas in Austin. Allison's fired up about science education. And when she learned that the State Board of Education was going to try to replace evolution with creationism, she wasn't having it. She worked with the Texas Rising campaign to start a Stand Up for Science campaign to push back against that. And after a long fight, the State Board of Education caved in after a lot of public pressure and some theatrics that we put on in front of their building. And fact-based science is going to continue to be taught in Texas, at least for the next 10 years. This is our student organizer, Michelle, at the University of Houston downtown. Michelle is incredibly passionate about civic engagement and the role that young folks play in her community. She's new to this work, but last election cycle, she registered thousands of new Houstonian voters and increased voter turnout by 11% compared to the city average for millennials. And finally, this is Adriano. Adriano is our student leader at the University of Texas at El Paso. Adriano believes that just because he lives in Texas does not mean that he has to tolerate discrimination against transgender people. When the Texas legislature introduced 23 anti-choice bills last session, Adriano worked day and night to make sure that not a single one of those bills made it to the governor's desk. We're actually building this movement in Texas, y'all, and our young folks are rising to the occasion. Thanks for your time.